So scary, scary stuff. But what we do know is that lifestyle has a big impact on weight, diabetes, our health. So diet and exercise are things we can control as well, right? No matter what the food industry tells us, what we should be doing, what they want us to do it, pumping smells and whatnot, Greg's, McDonald's, whistling at us. But can you not see the issue right there? You restrict, and then what do? You want it more. So it's not as simple as saying don't have that for everyone, because we all have our own relationships with food. Sugar has the same reward mechanism as cocaine in your brain. Does that mean sugar's as addictive as cocaine? No. But because otherwise it would be, you would walk out on the street and there'd be people coming out of Sainsbury's with kilogram of sugar going like this, and we don't do that. But what happens is sugar's often packaged up in convenient ways with what?
Other food.
Like fat, right? Yeah. Salt. When all these food industry are prepping all the food, they want you to feel like you have to have more and to get a reward in your brain, so that you do what with the packet? Finish it. Yeah. And then you end up hiding the empty wrappers to make yourself feel better, right? So that's what they want, so you end up buying more. So what they do is add a bit of sugar in, add a bit of salt in, they balance it out. Oh, a bit more sugar. Now add a bit of fat in, because fat is a beautiful texture in your mouth. Mix that with sugar, and you've got a free-for-all. You've got a party going on in there, and your reward system in your brain. So if you're aware of this though, you can take control of it. And it is about your relationship with food. Because I'm not saying you have to ban every food. I'm not saying that at all. But if you can learn that this is what it is, this food may have this impact on you. What is a trigger food for you? So some people have trigger foods. So a trigger food is something where you're not that hungry, but you eat it, and all of a sudden you're now kind of hungry, and you end up eating more and more and more, and you weren't even hungry. For me, it's peanut butter. Once I start in there, the jar could be gone. And the calorie intake of that is low. It's maybe a healthy food, but overeat on it and you will gain weight. Like everything. Okay, so my first question to you, with it being this time of the year, we have to wind down, is what do you think was the number one New Year's resolution in 2016?
Cigarettes.
And that's just fluffy, right? Because if you ask someone any time of the year what they want, they'll go, yeah, I could do with losing weight. Most people would say, yeah. Would you agree with that? So, how many people, percentage, do you think were successful with this? 8% were successful with this. Any reasons why? It depends if you're the type of person who goes, oh, our cupboards are full, we better finish. The right time is now. You know, there's no right time. You're always going to have appointments. You're always going to have people to look after. You're always going to have work to do. You're always going to have people to see. You're always going to have holidays, birthday parties, Christmas parties, seeing friends. There's never going to be a time in your life where you're not. And if there is, the chances are the thing that you're planning on doing isn't going to be sustainable, because there's going to be a time in your life where you're going to have to do it, all these birthday celebrations again. Then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're just going to go crazy. You're not going to know how to build a positive relationship with food so that you can go to that social situation and actually enjoy yourself, but not be really, really feeling guilty after, because you couldn't control yourself at all. So it's learning how to get that balance right. And that's what we're going to do today. So think about getting the basics right. Because we often just don't think about getting that right. And it's so important. Once we lay the foundations right, we can get into the more trickier parts. Okay? So we know that portion sizes are increasing, right? So whereas back in the day, a bagel might be that big, we order a bagel now and it's, say, that big. So, any guesses on how much it's increased in the last 20 years, the size of a bagel? 24% increase in size, okay? So right there, you're consuming more calories without really knowing, because when we're given a meal, we have to finish it. We don't like throwing away food because of the time, once upon a time, where food was scarce and we had to finish our meal. There's starving kids out there, and there still is. But we do live in a much different place right now. So now, if you eat one bagel a day, how much extra calories are you now consuming over a year? So compared to 20 years ago. 19,500 more calories over the course of a year just from your innocent bagel.
19 days worth of food.
So, you're getting better value for money, maybe, but not necessarily if it's detrimental to your health, I guess. So it's about thinking about portion control, how we've changed, how we're using bigger plates, how our portion sizes are bigger, buy one get one free, so you just have both of them. All these things, making yourself aware of them, okay? And portion control is key to weight loss. So, right now, these 8% people, I can pretty much guarantee you, got the portion control pretty much right. And it wasn't easy for them. Using a teaspoon instead of a tablespoon to eat, you're going to eat slower, not eating in front of the TV. All these things can make such a difference because we just eat aimlessly, not eating while you're driving. All of a sudden, you've consumed an extra 500 calories. I ask you for your food diary, and you miss out all these things that you were mindlessly doing. So it's about thinking every time we eat, even if you write it down, are you hungry? Yes or no? Why are you eating? Is it boredom? Is it you want to pick me up? Is it that emotional kick you get out of it? A reward? Could you do something else? What can you replace it with? A nice walk, meet a friend, bring someone you haven't seen in a while, have a chat with someone, actually think about what you're doing a bit more. Okay? So, we're going to go through the main nutrients in a diet. Okay, so what are the three main macronutrients? The three main nutrients that make up your plate of food. Anyone know? Protein. So protein, carbs, and fat. What do we know about protein? Yeah, so what does muscle give us? Strength, love it. What else?
Energy.
Yeah, energy makes everyday tasks easier, right? What else does protein do?
It's a protein. Keep you fuller for longer.
Yeah. So protein keeps you fuller for longer. It's the most filling nutrient you can actually eat in a meal. For example, how much chicken breast could you eat before you just go? Unless you put a load of sugary and fatty sauce on it. And there you go, there's your answer. Compare that to, say, something like cake. There's always room for cake, right? The dessert stomach, as they call it. When you're full up, but that other stomach comes in to the volcano brownie. It'd be interesting if we started eating the opposite way round. So maybe if we had the dessert first, then the main meal, then the starter. Would you want the starter? You'd probably go, leave the soup. Right? So what else does it do, protein? Give you a clue. I don't wear nail varnish. Yeah, so nails, skin, hair. I've still got my hair despite my genetics, and my dad, all his brothers have all lost their hair, and touch wood, I'm doing alright at the moment, so maybe I'm eating my protein. Who knows? Hormones, our DNA, so our genetic makeup, the way we look, the way we feel, is made of protein. How we digest foods, made of protein. Really interesting. So, that is protein, and the thing what I want to stress on about here is with muscle. So, muscle is what? A storage It's a storage of, did you know this? Storage of glucose, you said, didn't you? Yeah, so glucose can be stored in here. So it's a bit like a drainage system, you could argue, right? So if you go, if it's torrential rain outside and your drain is full, what's going to happen? It's going to overflow, right? And then what does your body do with that excess sugar? You've got high blood sugar then. That could be detrimental, as we know, not only for fat gain, but also high blood sugar levels is essentially the consequences of diabetes not managed well, right? So if we've got more muscle, we've got more storage, but what's also more powerful is what were you doing with the resistance bands and with your today, what you were exercising, right? So what is your muscle doing? Yeah, it's a bit like unplugging a bath and you're draining the glucose out of it so that you've got more storage again. So your body will better handle the carbs or the sugar and the energy from all your meal after that. Does that make sense? So can you see how powerful exercise is? Pretty powerful, right? So any sources of protein? Yeah, fish, nuts. Yeah, fish, nuts, meats, eggs. Yeah. Yeah, plus vegetarian sources, pulses. Yeah, so you've got beans, you've got lentils, milk. Yeah. Obviously, milk also contains sugar and fat, as does. So pulses are actually predominantly a carb. Believe it or not, they've actually got more carbohydrates than protein, but they still do contribute as well. Nuts are also obviously a predominant source of fat. Okay, so what about carbs? What do you know about carbs?
Turns to sugar.
Yeah, all carbs do turn to sugar, whether you have a healthy whole grain or Haribo. That is the case. But a healthy whole grain will keep you fuller for longer. So there's the benefit there. It's also going to fill your plate more, right? But remember that vegetables are a carbohydrate source as well. Don't forget that. So your root vegetables, carrot, parsnips, as well as your potatoes, bread, pasta. What do we know about carbs? If you're choosing more higher sugar sweets all the time, it's not going to keep you full. You're more likely to overeat. Crisps, snacks like that, right? You're going to end up overeating. And like I said, it can be a reward thing as well with carbohydrates and sugar. So they're also non-essential. The fact your body can actually make carbs from protein and fat. Okay? So it's about using it cleverly. And not it's, yeah, they do. Yeah, compared to fat and protein. So what do we know about fat? Yes, there is a few types. So what's a good source of fat?
Unsaturated.
Yeah, monounsaturated. So think of the Mediterranean style diet, right? So think of olives, fish. So oily fish, olive oil. Yeah, things like that. Really good. Nuts, seeds, egg yolks. You know? Think of things like that. Vegetable oil. Yeah, vegetable oil isn't great to cook with at high heats. Okay, so how much? So if we think of fat, you need fat to actually absorb a lot of your vitamins, believe it or not. So vitamin A, which is good, important for your eyes, skin. Vitamin D, which is your happy hormone. Vitamin K as well. Vitamin E, which is an antioxidant, which may help keep you healthy and fit, your immune system. You need fat to actually absorb that. So although lowering fat intake may help you lose weight, you need your essential fats to absorb vitamins, get a bit of energy from food, and also eat a balanced diet to keep you full up. So when you're thinking about putting a meal together, okay, how would you go about doing this? So let's say you've got a plate. You've got a plate here. How can we go about filling this plate? What about a palm size? Palm size portion of protein in there? Yeah. So you've got, say, chicken, beef, whatever. So you've got palm size portion of protein in there. What about your carbs? Let's say we're getting our exercise in.
Less carb. 3 fingers.
Yeah, it could be all about a fist. So if you think that's not much pasta at all. Rice, that's not that much rice. Okay? Or it could be lentils, beans. You could mix them. Lentils, rice and beans in a fist. That's interesting. So, you got your carbs and then your fats. So it could be some nuts with the meal, could be avocado in a salad, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of olive oil. So about a thumb-sized portion. And then all the rest is what I would say is your veggies. Really important. They keep you full, they help your immune system so you stop getting ill, help overcome common colds. Remember that exercise is another stress, so that's another thing you have to recover from. Okay? Exercise is a stress, but it also boosts your immune system if you recover from it. Because whilst you're stressing your body then goes, oh, I've got to get stronger now, so next time you do this, aka run away from a lion, for all your body knows, when you're squatting, when you're saying it hurts, your body's going, oh, I better keep doing it though, because I imagine if I stop doing this, I could be eaten. It doesn't actually know. So think of it like that. So your body's going to adapt, and it will be hard at times, but it's better than being eaten by a lion. Okay? So, key thing is that we're recovering from it. So we're getting a good balance of nutrients in. Okay? So that's how you would look at portioning, putting a meal together, okay? The best diet in the world is the one you can stick to. Don't forget that. So, let's not use low, let's use lower, right? So, can a lower carb diet work for you? My answer is yes. Your body can use fat as energy, your body can use protein as energy. You've got to remember, if you've got weight to lose as well, that's a great source of energy for you. You know, if we didn't have any food for the next few months, we would last for a while. It's interesting to think of it like that. We're often scared of maybe eating a little bit less, but there's also consequences of keep eating more, right? That we don't think about sometimes. So, I mean, you can restrict them maybe in certain meals and see how you feel, track things. Yeah. But just make sure you're getting enough of other stuff. So maybe you start using more vegetables. Okay? But it's always good to speak with people about that. Just because it's a saturated fat, right? So saturated fat means it's saturated. So if you think of the word saturated, right? Whereas unsaturated, almost think of a chemical. So they say, you know, think of a chemical that wants to meet a partner. So think of someone who goes out on a night out, they're on the pool. Yeah? They want to meet their partner, okay? So they're looking for someone, right? They're really energetic and looking for someone. Someone who's married's like this. I just want to go home. This is boring now. I'm too old for this, right? They're walking around and they haven't got the energy to go around. So the problem is the unsaturated people have got loads of energy, so they're more likely to be oxidized, and then that's the thing that's not great for when we take it in. Okay, so oxidation of fats can be quite toxic, basically. So the saturated fat is more stable, and when you cook it at high heats. In general, if you just avoid frying and grill, oven, you're generally going to be better off anyway. But if you are frying at high heats, using stuff like Fry Light is quite good as well, because it's basically nothing, or a saturated fat is fine. So just before we finish, okay, I want to touch on this last thing, because there's two types of eating, all right? The type of eating that tells us that we're hungry because we need to eat to survive, and the other type is the type where we just eat because of our senses, what we see. So what you see, what you hear, so you could, what you smell, so the smell of bacon will make me hungry whether I've just eaten a fry-up or not. I'm still hungry. That smell of bacon does it for me, okay? And it's interesting how that impacts our perception of whether we're hungry or not. And what is hunger? When was the last time your stomach rumbled? Without the smell of bacon, without anything. I mean, have we become out of touch with that? Sometimes we actually get a bit confused and we're actually thirsty, or we're bored, or you just hear the loving it whistle. I even heard it in the gym the other day, and I had headphones in. I could just hear it through on the radio. So our environment is making us eat more. You've just eaten lunch. You go to a friend's house. There's food. They get food out. They make you a coffee and they say, "Do you want a cake?" And you eat the cake even though you're not hungry. Or there's a buffet there and you just start picking. And you wouldn't have eaten that if it wasn't for that situation. Does that make sense? So you've got to be aware of all these cues that are making us eat more. What can we do for this? Well, when you're in control of your food intake, so when you're at home, you are in control of your food intake. You put what you want to eat, you put in your mouth, and you go from there. So if 80% of the time you can control that, plan ahead. Maybe you're going out for a meal later with an old friend. You know there's going to be a little bit of rubbish food. So maybe, this balance, you alter it slightly. Maybe you lower your carbohydrates, your fat, and then portion it better so that later on maybe you can eat a bit more. That's one option. Also, just setting up your environment. So it could be that you have a snack cupboard, okay? So although this might seem a bit negative, if all your snacky foods are in one cupboard, that takes away something called mindless eating, right? Because when you open the cupboard and you go and get out some olive oil or whatever, and there's some digestive biscuits next to the olive oil, whether you know it or not, subconsciously you're saying, "Oh, should I take one?" So you take one there, and it's draining your willpower all day. Whereas if all the biscuits and everything's in the snack cupboard, you've then got to make a decision to go, "You know what? I'm going to have a snack and that's fine." But at least you've thought about it, you've gone over to the snack cupboard and you've eaten. Because did you know that in one recent study, they had chocolates 1 feet away. Then they repeated the study, put the chocolates 6 feet away. Any idea how much the difference? 60% less. And they asked about, they asked them why, and they said, "Well, I actually had to get up then. I actually thought, am I actually hungry? Not really." Whereas, when we're just picking, Christmas time, celebrations, Quality Street, it's just there, right? Or soon they'll probably have real easier to open wrappers. They've already got the slit in. Next it will just be just tap some in and it's out. Make it easy as possible. Because we always look for ease of calories. Because back when we were cavemen and hunter-gatherers, if you think about a nut, we'd have to climb a tree, crack the shell just for one nut. Now we're eating peanut butter, which is just roasted, blended, and we can just go like that, done. So we like that because it's calories instantly, done. And that's why cakes are so appealing. Okay, so it's about getting this balance, thinking about protein, carbs, and fats, thinking about our environment, being aware of how food is everywhere, but it's still up to us to control our intake, okay? Because how we balance our day, thinking about what keeps us fuller, are we getting our protein, have we eaten our vegetables? Are you actually hungry? Note that down. Have you drank enough water? How did you sleep last night? Another overlooked thing, okay? Because that can make us more hungry. So does that make sense? Keep 6 snacks handy so that no matter what, when you're really, craving something, you've got something healthy there. So it could be carrot sticks and hummus. Could be some olives. Could be some Greek yogurt. Could be a little portion of fruit. Or some smoked salmon, some chicken. Sorry? Yeah, sugar-free jelly is pretty underrated in my opinion. The volume you get out of it, it's calorie-free. Add some berries on there, maybe some yogurt, and you've got quite a substantial meal for very minimal calories in there. But thinking about having, cooking more chicken on a Sunday, so you've got some for the week in the fridge, so you've got something to pick at. Then you'll know if you're really hungry. So if you look at the cake and go, "Oh, I am hungry," then you go, "Oh, I've got chicken in the fridge." Would you eat the chicken? No. Well, are you hungry then? I like to keep some, smoked salmon or something like that around. Keeps well. So it's all about portioning and preparing as well. Can't stress that enough. So I hope you found that helpful. And any questions at all?